The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum. You are listening to Sisters Speak on Inspire FM. You're here with me, Amina.
And me, Lamisa.
And also Samiha will be here, but there are some delays. She will be here shortly. Welcome back, Sisters Speak, everyone. We have been away for 2 weeks, I think.
I've been away for longer than that.
Everyone probably knows there's like a nasty virus going around, so there's that. But inshallah, we're all gonna get better and hopefully not catch another virus. So for today's main topic, we will be talking about social media influencers and how much of an influence do they have on young people and young Muslims in particular. But before we get into that, we have a segment on our show called Thought of the Week, where, pretty self-explanatory, we have...
No, I'm saying, do you want to go first?
Okay.
I'm still thinking.
The mice is confusing me. We share our thoughts with each other and maybe to inspire each other. Things like that. If you want to let us know what's been on your mind, if you want to share something inspirational, Maisa, how can people get in touch?
You can get in touch by texting or WhatsApping in on 07779481822, or you can even call in. We'd love to hear what you have to say on 01582 481822. I do believe we're live on Facebook as well, so if you want to comment under there, feel free.
Yeah, so I guess I'll start because Maisa is not ready.
I'm thinking.
I read something quite inspirational today. I think I'll just read it out and share it with everyone. I don't know where this is from, if it's from a book or who said it. It didn't have any credits underneath, but I'll read it out anyway. It says, whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. All people live their own dream in their own mind. They are in a completely different world from the one we live in. When we take something personally, we make the assumption that they know what is in our world, and we try to impose our world on their world. So,
some big words.
Some big words.
Some big words.
I guess... when I read that, I feel like I needed that kind of... I don't know what the word is. It just felt like the right time to read that. Like, there's whatever happens around you, however someone treats you, it's got nothing to do with what you've done. It's just a reflection of who that person is and maybe even what they're going through. And it's in no way should affect you. Oopsie. I was just playing something on my phone by accident. Sorry if anyone heard that. Sorry, but yeah, back to my point. Whatever, if anything affects you, if anything that someone else has done affects you in a bad way, maybe take a step back and think, think about who you are and what you've done, and does whatever they have done to you, does that take away from the person that you are today? So yeah, that's my thought of the week. Lamaisa?
Yeah. So I finished thinking, guys. But no, I feel like this is quite topical with the point in time that we are right now. And it's this idea of being able to bring about change in the world. I don't know, I feel like I've really always wanted to try and have a big impact on the world. Because from a young age, I've been seeing like things that are wrong, or my parents have made sure that I watch the news and things like that. And we all know that there's so many, it's almost a negative way to look at the world, but there's so many things that are unjust or unfair that are going on. And you feel this sort of internal rage that you want to just go out and fix everything. But I think as I grew older, obviously I realised that I'm just one person amongst so many millions upon billions of people. Bringing about that change is really difficult if you're not, I guess, someone with influence or power. And I don't know, it kind of makes me feel sometimes that, like, as much as everyone wants to make change, it's so difficult to bring about. And everyone like myself, I guess, who are I'm not saying we are insignificant, but somewhat insignificant towards these things. Like we don't hold any actual power. It just sometimes it feels demoralizing, I guess. And it makes you kind of think when it comes to, times like this that we are in right now, like political climates and stuff like that, is sometimes, you kind of think, how much influence do I really hold in everything? So I don't know. I guess that's what I'd say. This is my thought for the week. A bit cynical and a bit negative, but at the same time,
But I think it's relatable. I feel like we all go through feeling in that kind of way. Like I felt like that before. Like what am I actually doing? Is it how much power do I really hold?
Yeah.
But I think we do all hold a certain amount of power, and we obviously not enough to do like huge things.
Change,
but I think if we take small steps and work with what we have, then I think we can work towards making that big change that you've always wanted.
Perhaps. I don't know. I feel like
it will change the world one day.
I hope so. I feel like it links into our main topic quite nicely in the sense that, people do have large amounts of influence, large amounts of power. It just kind of makes you think, like, what do they do with that? And would you, if you had that same amount of power and that same level of influence, what would you do with it? I don't know, because I feel like so many people have different priorities as well. So like if I see maybe an influencer on social media and they're trying to, promote this campaign that they may think is doing large amounts of good to the world, but it might be like relatively, it might be something that I see as quite trivial perhaps. And I might be like, oh, there's way bigger problems, like, I don't know, poverty or, famine, things like that are going on in the world. But these people aren't focusing on that. But I guess it just comes down to the point that every single person has different priorities and big issues that they want to change, So I don't know. I feel like, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just
I understand
putting more points
what you're getting at, though.
It's like, is that wasted power, would you argue? Or is that,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's strange. And it's like these big issues that are going on. I won't mention any, but there are loads that are going on. It's like we just aren't at that level of power to even think about being able to solve them because they are so, I don't know, it feels like they're so far away.
I understand what you mean. And there's people that hold a lot more power than we do who can actually make bigger changes, and you think, well, whatever I'm doing right now, is it actually going to make a difference? Because if someone up there with more power and maybe more following, more money, whatever it is, isn't doing it, then what is the point?
Exactly.
I feel like it comes down to morals as well, because sometimes you can say, like, what's the point? But then at the same time, maybe you're not making a huge dent in whatever is going on, like you're not making a huge difference, but you're still doing morally the right thing.
And I think
that can also
I think that's what it boils down to, really. I think that's what we all try and do because I feel like systematically we sort of know that we're sort of made to think, I feel, that we can't do anything. I genuinely feel, because whenever I talk to people and have deep conversations about topics like this, and we all sort of end it on, well, what are we going to do? Because we can't really do anything. And so I feel like we've sort of been made, I don't know I'm not saying by anyone, but I feel like everyone has that sort of thing that we can't really do that change, but we can try and live the best we can in order to maybe one day bring about that change.
Yeah, I think that's always the conclusion when we feel a bit hopeless. It's like, well, we should always do the right thing no matter what happens.
What happens, yeah.
And we're joined by Samiha.
Grand entrance. But yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Turn your mic on. Sorry.
It's okay.
Assalamu alaikum, Samiha.
Walaikum finally.
We were just finishing our thoughts of the week.
My thoughts of the week, yeah.
Samiha, you can share yours.
Oh my god, I was thinking about it on the way here and I drew a blank, but I have to say, with like the weather and everything, just take it slow and just like I'm at home a lot with my baby, so right now I'm just enjoying being at home. Yeah, just take it slow and enjoy the coziness you get from knowing that it's like raining outside. I don't know, there's a certain coziness when it rains, right?
So, a certain peacefulness,
Yeah,
I feel.
I think you can take a positive from that.
Yeah, for sure.
If
Apart
it's
from
not
the
nice-
fact that it's quite dark inside the house
Oh,
because
yeah.
of like the fact that there's no lights and stuff. Mood lighting. I do a lot of mood lighting in the house.
like candles and
Candles and like
Nice.
lamps and things like that.
Really enjoy your time, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
just
good.
alhamdulillah. So yeah, just
Yeah.
take it slow. Whatever you're doing at your point in time, just take it slow. I'm trying.
That's good.
Yeah.
That is good advice. That be studying or
I feel
work
like
or anything.
winter slows us down anyway, so why not just go with it?
Do
Yeah.
you think so?
I feel like I feel like when it gets dark, it's forcing
You're
me
ready
go
to-
sleep, and I don't like it. But maybe
Oh,
I should be like,
gosh.
okay, it's giving me a chance to
Chance.
just relax.
I don't know. I
maybe.
feel like because I've just had like my holidays have just started. But when I went to uni, when I was at uni, when I'd enter and when I'd leave, it would be the same. It would be dark.
Dark.
So I feel like I'm
Oh my
used to
God.
this sort of situation. Like I haven't been slowed. If anything, I've been sped up because I just have to think like the day's gonna go, so I need to get everything done. That's my sort of
I think
thought
my
process.
daughter's really synced with winter. She sleeps at 6:30 and wakes up
Aw.
at 5 in the morning.
Nice.
So yeah, I think she's
Circadian rhythm
Yeah.
is really working.
yep.
Oh wow.
So I'd say that concludes our thoughts of the week. Sorry, that didn't make sense. We will go on to our next segment, which is our hot topics, and Lamaisa, I'll hand that over to you.
Yeah, sure. So the first hot topic, I guess it's not really a topic, we're not going to discuss it, but it's just a reminder, the voting is on Thursday, and we just encourage everyone to go out and make your voice heard, even though we're just talking about, you know, maybe how insignificant everyone's individual things are. If you vote, more likely that whatever you want will probably...
Yeah, your small voice will be heard. through your vote.
Your voice will be heard. I don't know. I feel like... Well, I don't know. I feel like, yeah. Because everyone's voice collectively comes out in the election result, right? So, yeah. you may have
It's
a chance.
literally the fight of our lives, guys.
Yeah, 2 days. I think
2
I
days.
wanted to say that just if you still don't know what you're doing and if you've registered to vote and you don't know why, maybe like just do some research, watch
yeah.
the news, and you know you will know what the right thing to do is because you'll see what's going on and you can just do your research.
Yeah.
Look at what all the parties are offering you and you can make your decision based on that. And I think we're quite privileged to have that. We're quite privileged to have the right to vote and to have our voices heard in some kind of way.
For sure. And I feel like
So-
information is so readily available to us, whether that be information from the party or information
Yeah.
from third parties. We have quite a big, I guess, plethora of stuff that we can look at to really make an informed decision. You know, whereas in other places around the world, that might not be the case. So we are lucky in that sense. I had a bit of a dilemma today because I thought the vote was tomorrow.
Oh my
And I only found my postal vote today, and I was like, "Is it going to get there in time? Is my voice going to be heard?" But then my dad was like, "You're an idiot. The vote's on Thursday, so it's fine." Yeah,
Okay, yeah, it's on Thursday.
It's
For
on
anyone
Thursday.
who has forgotten, who's got mixed up,
So,
it's on
yeah.
Thursday. Make sure you go out and vote. So our next hot topic, do you also want to introduce that one?
yeah. What would you want to do? I don't mind. But yeah, so the next hot topic is more so just going to say that Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson's reaction to a picture of a sick 4-year-old boy lying on the hospital floor.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
It was
Yeah.
actually quite scary watching his reaction because
Do you want to elaborate on what happened? Like, what was the...
I think it was someone called, I can't remember his first name, but his last name is Pike. He's an ITV interviewer.
Mhm.
And he was just asking him, repeatedly showing him the picture of this 4-year-old boy who's lying on the floor on a pile of coats, and he's refusing to look at the picture. Eventually, he pockets the interviewer's phone. And then the interviewer's like, "Prime Minister, you just took my phone and you refused to look at the picture." And then he almost forces himself to look at it.
All right.
So eventually he does.
He does look at it, but his he's like, oh, all our sympathies go towards the family of the boy, blah blah blah. But it didn't feel, just. He was going on about how they're going to introduce more hospitals and things like that, and how they're going to be putting more police on the roads, and he wasn't connecting with the fact that people out there are suffering.
I mean, I guess some people would say that on many occasions he has done that and he has connected that, and that actually he's very shocked to see the photo. So, I guess it's down to everyone's
Understanding and
understanding
I
of the
get, I
situation.
understand.
Yeah, I think some people have said that maybe some people said his reaction was odd, but maybe it was odd because how are you supposed to react to
Of course, yeah.
some kind, like that kind of picture? I think everyone has a different kind of reaction to certain things. But I guess, that's also something that maybe we should all do our own research on.
Exactly. If you want to know Conservative Party's policies, then go look at their manifesto. If you want to know Labour Party's policies, go look at Labour Party's manifesto. Have a good look at everyone's policies. And
so moving on, should we just get right into our our main topics? Just finished our hot topics. Sorry guys, I walked in here and it was raining and I'm a bit flustered.
Yeah.
So
I smell of rain as well. It's not the best.
So we'll get into our main topic, which is about social media influences, and particularly in the Muslim community. Well, the first thing I want to ask you guys is, how big is the impact of influencers on the younger generation, just as a whole, I guess?
It's big. It's big.
Is it?
I mean,
huge.
Even if we look at the scale of people's followings on, media platforms like, Instagram or YouTube or things like that, if you are to be called an influencer, you have to have I feel like the baseline minimum is 1 million. And it's like, think about that as a number.
Oh my gosh.
1 million is a lot.
1 million. Okay. And small YouTubers or small influencers have, 10,000, 20,000. Think about those numbers for a second. How many people are following this one person? 10,000 is massive. It's huge. So if you think about it like that, and the, collective amount of people that are following these people, it's huge. It's massive. And, these are the people who are having the influence that maybe me and Amina want one day to make change. But, they have that huge influence. And sometimes, I guess, the downfall is that maybe they don't realise how big of an influence they actually have.
Do you think they realise? Do you think they...
I think some people do.
I'm sure, if we found... on our followers
Suddenly shot up.
Don't you think that's a big thing?
Do you think people have become desensitized to those numbers, though?
I think
after
now
a certain point,
it's now the big thing is to have more than a couple of million. There's a YouTuber, I don't know his name, or her. They have 1 billion followers, and they're it's nothing to them. So I think, like you said, it becomes a point where it's just it's only 1 million, right? It's not really
a lot. I feel like because we're so used to seeing all these numbers, and it's
they're
become
a new
common.
form of celebrity. So it's just
for sure they are, because they have a following. When they go to a different country, people are going to be following them and trying to get pictures of them, that type of thing. So they definitely are, and it's a bit. I don't know. Sometimes, do you think it's a bit scary?
But I think within the Muslim community, it's not as hefty as outside of that.
Yeah.
I think that mainstream influences and that influency culture is huge outside of the Muslim community. There are some notable names, and I think we all know them, right, within our community that do have a huge following.
I feel like it's still quite big, though, in the Muslim community. You have loads of Instagram accounts and things like that with so many followers. I think it's a problem with, not a problem per se, but a thing with our generation.
Yeah,
I feel. It's so many people follow these people,
right?
Not just in the wider society, but in our community as well.
I know, definitely.
So
I think.
Do you think that these influencers, whatever community they're from, if they're just from like mainstream influencers or like within the Muslim community, do you think that they, like we were saying earlier in your thought of the week, like we think if you hold a certain amount of power, then you should be able to use it. Do you think they realise that, and do you think that they're using it in the right way? Or do you think that they think they're using it in the right way? Sorry, that's a bit of a...
That's
conundrum.
The other thing with that is, you know, we were talking about the fact that we might have a moral responsibility to do sort of what's right in that, or what we think is right. But at the same time, do you think they hold a moral responsibility to abstain from influencing all these masses of people?
Right.
But I don't know, are they putting out their life on display and...
Sorry, I can't see.
Oh, sorry, that's okay. Are they putting their life on display, not intending to be an influencer, but then people are following them, and
That's what I was thinking, because
like they don't mean to be.
So in that
Whatever.
situation, do you think they should refrain, or they should actively try and, or maybe not actively, but do you think they should be cautious of what they say, or do you think they should...
so. I think,
you know, just be free, because they didn't sign up for that, and they didn't
Yeah.
tell people that I'm going to influence you. That's not what it is.
But I think
But
some
also
people...
the issue is there that even if it happens by accident, there's still, you can think of any huge YouTuber, right, with a huge, like you said, there's someone with 1 billion followers, right, subscribers or whatever it might be. That might have happened by accident, but then when you see all those numbers, and I think now you can even see the age demographic as well. Some of them might have a huge following of, like, you know, young like teens and stuff. Don't you think even if they didn't mean for that to happen, don't you think that they should still hold some kind of responsibility?
Because it's fact, right? You can't get away from the fact that, like you're saying, even if it happened by accident, or they didn't mean it to happen that way, you can't get away from the fact that these people do follow you.
Yeah,
They
no,
are
that's
watching
true.
you,
Yeah, of
right?
course. And I think that does hold a certain amount of responsibility and weight. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, if they are influencing a whole generation of young people and they are instrumental in a certain wave of change, then yeah, I think that we can, they will be, they are accountable, I guess, to what they promote, suggest, preach.
Do you think we have that type of thing where we have to be careful of what we say? Do you think we're influencing people right now?
Oh, wow.
Well,
That took a very intense turn.
I think everyone to an everyone has to be careful with what they say to an extent, because we're always around people that we will influence, right? Like, we always leave an impression on people whether we like it or not.
Or
and we
not.
have to be, I think, just as humans, we just have to be careful with what we
Say.
put out there. I wanted to ask you guys in particular about Muslim influencers. Like we mentioned, they are like on a smaller scale, but they still have a very large following in the thousands, I'm sure. What are your impressions of them, just in general? I guess there's a lot. I'll make it more specific.
No, because I talked about it before the show. I was like, well, I don't really know the answer to that question, because there's so many influencers
there's
who
so
happen to be
many.
Muslim.
And
So
think
I can't, and they all are in different. Do you get what I mean? Like
we have spoken about
different genres.
social media on so many different shows, and I think we haven't touched on this particular
topic.
There's like so many different parts of social media and so many different people that play a part in there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk more about the social media characters, if you will, who are, I guess they like to give Islamic advice, and sometimes may come across a bit preachy. What do you guys think of them? I'm sure we've come across their videos, like we see them on Twitter. I mean, some of them go viral and become memes. But, you know, they have a big following for a reason. People out there do like their videos, but at the same time, a lot of people don't like their videos because they go viral and turn into memes. So what do you guys think of them?
I think if they're preaching without the qualifications to preach, then I think that's a bit of an issue. Like, if that's what you do for a living and you have qualifications on, I don't know, Islamic jurisprudence and all of that type of stuff, and you open a channel and you know that's what
about
you do,
it, right?
and that's literally your line of work, like that you're educated in that sector, so you have the right to do that. But people who aren't, say if I opened a YouTube channel and started randomly preaching about stuff I've read on the internet, no matter how much I've done my research, I feel like if you really don't have the qualifications,
you won't know the ins and outs of
you
it,
don't
right?
exactly, because you haven't been through what all these people who are qualified have been through, you know. It's like with doctors, you know, you're never going to be a doctor unless you've actually done a degree. No matter how much you research and you do everything, at the end of the day, you're not going to be able to diagnose yourself as well as a person who actually has the medical degree can do. So I feel like it's the same. It's a similar type of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, go on quickly.
I just think that it's really, it can be damaging as well, because some individuals might get their only source of information from these, social media individuals.
That's an interesting point.
And if they're not doing a good job of, like, if they're promoting a certain perspective of faith, yeah, oh God. Yeah, that's all I want to say on that.
So they have a huge influence. I think we'll get back to that after the break. We will continue on this topic. Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to Sisters Speak. We just had a break. Before the break we just started our main topic of social media influencers, and we were discussing very briefly before the break started about Muslim influencers in particular. And in that bracket of Muslim influencers there are some influencers that like to talk about Islam more than anything else. I mean, there's so many different kinds of Muslim influencers, and we've talked about them in other shows, but I think in today's show we wanted to talk about the ones who are targeted especially for Muslim people. We were just talking about their influence. I think, Samiha, you made some points before the break, and did you want to continue? I think I was asking you guys what you thought of these I call them characters. What did you think of them? And
cute.
do you think that they are doing the right thing? If you've seen their videos, what was your
Opinion on
What was your opinion? What was your impression? Did you think... I think we're all fairly young, and we have been young before. And I think, like, that doesn't make sense. But I think, like, what I'm trying to say is, do you think that the influence they have is making a good impact on people younger than ourselves or people our age?
I think that there is a lot of impressionable young individuals who are finding faith and they are trying to mold their identity. So if they are getting their source of information, like I said before, from such individuals, then it has, that it's such a great, it's a responsibility that they're giving them wholesome information that is derived from a sound understanding of faith. And like Lamisa said, if you don't have the qualifications and you are dishing out, like sources and giving them like, fatwas and stuff like that, then yeah, I think that it can be quite dangerous, to be honest with you. Especially as young people are more inclined to kind of picking things up through a video as opposed to reading a book, to be honest with you, I think. But that's just my opinion, right?
But what about freedom of speech? Like, what if I wanted to just start a YouTube channel and talk about, I don't know, healthy eating? I don't know anything about it. I don't know. I always think of that because I do not know anything.
Do you have an underlying desire to do that?
Yes, I was going to say.
Is that what it is? Amina's healthy eting lifestyle vlog coming out.
That's my alter ego.
Watch the space.
My alter ego eats well. But,
I love that.
But anyway, that is beside the point.
That is the point.
But like, aren't I allowed to just start a YouTube channel and talk about whatever I want to?
You can. No one's going to stop you. But I guess if we're talking about the impact that it has on a moral basis, you shouldn't, because you don't know what you're talking about. Do you get what I mean? Like these people, no one's going to stop them. You're not going to go up to them and be like, you can't do this. But the thing is, it's about the principle behind it. The fact that you have so many young people following you, and like Sami has said, you might be their only source of information, or not that there aren't other sources available, but some people just decide to, if they enjoy one particular type of content creator, you continuously go back to them. So the thing is, like, you really shouldn't, because you don't have the qualifications, and you'll be feeding them wrong information, and it's unfair on their part, in the sense that they've come to you for knowledge seeking stuff. These are impressionable kids. Like, even now, I'm 19, I'm still very impressionable. Like, if I see someone, I don't know, even as simple as if I see an Instagram post where someone's, dressed in a certain way, or they're eating something, that almost instantaneously makes me feel like I want to live like that. I mean, no matter how much I try, probably never going to happen. But, a thought does occur, in the sense that, it'd be nice if I did that, or it'd be nice if I had that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you take that to the age of, like, I don't know, 14, 15, 16, where we've all been through that time where we're just thinking, about life, what is life, who am I, all of these types of things. You're so impressionable, and you get the wrong information. It's not great, because it's wrong information. Oh, it might be.
Yeah. Samiha, did you want to add anything?
I just wanted to say also that when you use faith as a I don't know if I can say leverage to getting people to kind of like
visit your channel and
promote your channel, then it's also questionable as to whether that's like let's do this together, we're but then is it like, are you giving the right, there's no right or wrong version of faith, but the one that's coming from sound knowledge, basically.
So you're saying, like, the principles as to why they've started their channel, are they just using faith as a topic to divert traffic towards them, or are they really using faith because they want to talk about it, and they come from an educated background about it?
Yeah, because I think that some individuals have been caught out in certain circumstances where they're not perhaps kind of practicing what they're preaching, and in that case they've that it brings a question of, I'm being so tentative here because I don't want to offend anyone, but it then brings a question of what you're saying is, do you really feel what you're saying? And I feel like there are some really incredible individuals doing like amazing work to give faith to individuals who are approachable on social media, and and to be honest, some of the stuff that I learnt and understood have come from these individuals, but then there's like that small element that kind of
like, are they qualified to give that kind of information out and preach it to
I think that should be the baseline, because I feel like no matter how much we look at it, media is a large part of our lives in general, and a large part of the way we learn. Like, it's been incorporated not just in the sense that we use it for entertainment purposes now, like even during school, during university, like we've been given iPads. Everything that we do is sort of technology wise. It's such an ingrained part of us now. It'd be silly not to have, not to be able to learn faith and things like that from online, when maybe, say, if you're someone who lives in a place where Islamic knowledge and stuff like that may not be easily accessible, this might be your only way. So I feel like it is an important resource, and it should be used, but only by the people who are qualified to do so. And I think that's the bottom line. But I guess the question I wanted to ask is, not just Muslim influencers who choose faith as a topic, but do you think Muslim influencers in general hold a sort of responsibility in the way that they influence their following? Because some people might follow them and think, oh, they're an example of what a Muslim can be. And I mean, I'm not here to say what the right version of a Muslim is. I'm not qualified to do that.
Yeah.
But do you think people who are Muslim and are influencers hold a responsibility?
What
think there is
their utmost to
Sorry, go on,
represent
Emma.
Islam? Or do you
No, you
think
go.
it's just they are an influencer and they happen to be Muslim type of thing?
There are a lot of Muslim accounts that are verified on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Sure.
I don't know if it's not a faith-based thing that you're doing, and you're like maybe having a lifestyle sort of,
Yeah.
you know, is it fair to kind of put that onus on them?
So are we saying that you hold a certain amount of responsibility based on what kind of message you're putting out there, maybe? So like if you're solely talking about
I guess I'm
Islam, then I guess you should have a lot more responsibility in it, and you should have more credible sources, and maybe refrain from saying certain things if you're not qualified to do so. But maybe if you are, I mean, there's so many Muslim comedians. They don't. Their job is to be funny. They don't need to be qualified to do that.
But do you think they hold a responsibility in the terms of people are going to see them as a Muslim, and do you think they represent, because of that representation, do you think they hold a responsibility?
I think in some ways they do. Like they just have to. I think in general, as Muslims, we have to carry ourselves a certain way, and that's not to say we have to be perfect, but we have to be good people. I think one of the questions I wanted to ask you guys is that something maybe I haven't seen all of their videos, but something that I see is missing, and it's kind of a trend, is that they seem to be preaching a lot about different kinds of things, but one thing that is forgotten is maintaining a good character. And like as a Muslim, like the ones who are whose audience is following them because of Islam, do you think that they're missing certain things that are actually important to the Muslim youth, and they're not getting that?
I think your point on character is so fundamental, because there are so many like hadith and things like that which talk about, you know, like having good character and how that's kind of the base of faith and whatever. So I haven't really been up to date watching like videos about, like, you know, but I have, from what I have heard in the past, I think there is a lot of emphasis on like spirituality and this and that, but not necessarily, like you said, on how you interact with others as an individual and how you kind of present yourself. And I think I agree with you on that, definitely.
Yeah. What do you guys think is important? I mean, we are all young Muslims here. What would you rather have? Maybe what would you think would have been useful for you to hear or see on social media when you were younger? Like, what kind of advice would you have needed?
I feel like, especially for people like us who were born in the UK maybe and growing up here, I'd definitely say how to find your faith in that sense. Because even though, I mean, we grew up in Luton, which is obviously a very, how do I say it? We have a lot of Asians here and a lot of Muslims here as well. So we have a big community. But even in that situation, loads of people find it hard to find their faith. And I feel like if we had a bit more of, not necessarily saying that this is the way you find your faith, but more so saying, you know, these are the things that I did, or maybe sharing more experiences, or just talking in general about it. So not talking in terms of like, this is how you do it, but rather this is maybe how I did it, or, you know, these were the struggles that we had, and was sort of just making it a bit more talked about and normal. I feel like would have helped a lot, because loads of people struggle with like faith in general. And one of the biggest parts of Islam for me personally, I feel, is that relationship with God. Not just, you know, all the things you have to do, because I feel like if you have a strong iman and you have a strong faith, for me personally, all the things that we have to do as Muslims just falls in place naturally. So it's really building that strong connection with God, and if that was talked about a bit more instead of, you know, maybe other things in a more open manner, like a discussion based type thing, I feel like that would have helped a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Smiha?
I also think it would be nice to kind of have tips and advice on reconciling, like, where you want to be in your faith and where you are right now. Like, there are certain ideals, like, you know, attempting to pray your sunnahs and taking your time and kind of perfecting your salah and things like that. And we're not always there, you know, we're not always like that. Like, sometimes we just pray and it's like motions. Sometimes we're kind of good. And I think that even I struggle like with that right now, where I want to be in faith, but where I am. And I think reconciling that gap, because sometimes it can be such a struggle. Like, it can hit you hard and you're like, I'm not doing this well enough. And I'm sure that there are individuals who have kind of successfully done that. So yeah, I think it would be nice to hear that. Yeah.
So for someone, if you, maybe like a younger sibling or something, if they did want to get some advice on maybe, you know, strengthening their iman, or just wanted to know more about Islam, and they're like going to the internet for that, what would you tell them? Because I think for me, the first thing I see is just like a bunch of videos and a bunch of Instagram accounts of people that are actually not qualified, but there are a lot of, you know, sheikhs and people of knowledge who now have a big influence on the internet. What would you guys do?
I feel like what I was going to say is that personally I wouldn't go to the internet for these types of things. And like when I was even just 5, 6, 7 years ago, like when I was in high school, in the early years of high school, like YouTube wasn't that popular. You know, we didn't really go to the internet as such to try and find our faith. But I feel like loads of people might nowadays. I don't know. I feel like if you really have questions and you really want to find your faith, and it's easy for you to go online, then go and find email accounts or, you know, contact details of people who really can answer your question, who really are qualified to do that, or reliable sources of information, or talk to someone in your local community who's reliable. Because I feel like whenever we had questions, we'd be asking, like, you know, our mosque teachers or our Arabic teachers, and these are people who are qualified to answer those questions. So, you know, yeah, I'd say that's what I'd say. If you have questions with faith, go talk to someone who can answer your questions.
Right.
There's actually a individual on social media who does like Instagram Q&As, and so during the weekend people would submit questions to him, like really, you know, like they would ask him fatwas and things like that, and he would, like, during his daily commute, he would respond to these through video or messages and things like that. I think there's like a new wave of faith that's kind of coming through.
I was about to get at that point, because when we were growing up, I guess we wouldn't have even thought of going on YouTube to ask Islamic questions. So, but I think that's something that young people that's just there for them. So that's what they're going to do. And I think that's really interesting that there's someone on who uses Instagram to do that. But yeah, so maybe we should be finding more credible sources if we're going to go to the internet, I guess. Yeah. Because I think that's kind of, would you agree that that's a bit inevitable for people to just go to the internet? Because even we, like, when we have any question, we're just on Google straight away.
Yeah, straight away. So I feel like just check the sources. That's all you can really do, and ensure that they're right. And not just one person. Go ask lots of people.
Yes.
Because that's the only way you can, like, scientifically increase your sample size.
I love that.
You get a more, you know, reliable result.
Ages. So long.
But yeah, ask more people and then decide for yourself, I guess.
I think a lot of faith-based influencers who are qualified and have, you know, like degrees in Islamic studies or whatever, you get an insight into their lives as well, and a lot of their personal struggles they share, and it kind of makes you realize that even they are attempting to find their faith in some shape or form.
Mm-hmm.
And that's encouraging.
Yeah, it's encouraging. And that's one of the main reasons why I do follow individuals and people of faith on Instagram and stuff, because especially when you're like on the go and you're just getting like certain tiny bits of information, it's quite nice because it sticks in your mind.
Yeah, I feel like that's the good thing about social media is that although you shouldn't get all your knowledge from there, and that shouldn't be your sole source of information, it is nice to have, like, if you're scrolling and there's like a little reminder, I think it's nice to see that. I wanted to ask you guys, how would you advise someone to use social media though? Because like I said, we can't have that. Like, should you be using it as like how should someone be using social media? Like, should they be using it for information? Or how do you use it? Like, what do you use it for?
Me?
Oh God.
Do you use it?
Yeah. So I don't usually go on my phone that much, but I do use social media. But I'd say YouTube I use for entertainment purposes, but also I guess language learning right now. Currently.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah. So I've gone into the language that I'm learning. I just watched YouTube videos in that language.
That's
to try and
actually
increase
cool.
understanding. But I think generally it's just entertainment. I don't get it off social media, if I'm honest. I do, it depends what it is, but generally I do proper research. That is using the internet, but not social media aspect of it. I feel like social media I generally use to see what my friends are up to, maybe show them what I'm up to, that type of thing. I don't know the right way of using social media, but I'd say excess use is probably not good.
Yeah. I don't think that is a correct way. But maybe there is a wrong way.
But I mean, I don't think
it depends. Sorry.
No, it's all right.
I think. I think it depends on the accounts that you follow. So I'm going to be honest. Most of my election knowledge that I've acquired has come from news outlets on Instagram, and I feel like they post important
because
stuff.
they are news outlets, right? So they have.
Okay, yeah.
So
Fair
it'd be
enough.
like if you were on your news app or you saw their channels, it's the same. They're the same
thing,
source,
same
right?
source, but yeah.
So I feel like it's the source that's really important. But also, I don't think it's wrong if you get your information from social media, as long as, like you said, the sources are fine.
Yeah, and I think that it depends entirely on what you follow. So if your feed is entirely kind of entertainment based, then you're just gonna keep getting that. But I don't know. I have a mix.
I feel like it's kind of evolving. Like we said before, like it wasn't like that when we were growing up.
No.
Yeah.
It's like now we can have
normal.
BBC News on Instagram and get all our news updates from there.
Which is
Or
really crazy.
BuzzFeed, whichever one.
Yeah.
But like it's because everyone knows that you have cookies and things like that to personalize what you see to what you've seen before. So in that sense, I feel like it's kind of unfair because it's not exposing you to new stuff. It's really just keeping you in your line of thought.
Do you think that's kind of scary though? Like, I feel like social media has become kind of like a black hole.
But it's your own black hole.
Exactly.
It's personalised to you. You want that black hole in a way.
It's your
do we
own
want
list.
it though? Do we ask
That's
for
the thing. Exactly. Like I feel like if social media wasn't, if they didn't have
Tailor-made.
those tracking cookies and things like that's why whenever I go on a website, I turn it all off. Like I really do take out those 30 seconds to click no to every single cookie because I don't want that. I want to be able to have
Fresh
as
content,
big,
yeah.
a pool of information so that I can keep my mind open instead of constantly like looking at whatever it is, whether you be, on one side of the spectrum or on another side. Like you need to be able to expose to everything to be able to have a good informed opinion. And I feel like with social media, that just doesn't happen because everything is so personalized to you and what you want to see.
Yeah.
Not necessarily everything that is out there. So, like if you have a very, like I don't use social media for news or things like that. So it's, even though I am that type of person, I will go online and I will find all my news, or I will watch BBC News every now and again. My social media doesn't represent that. because on my social media I only like listen or see certain types of things. So I feel like it's almost like a scam in a way.
No, I think that's quite a dynamic way to receive your information. And I think that, I think you just put something in my mind to think about. Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, I never thought of it like
I've made a change today.
I've never thought of it like that.
That I'm kind of curating my own knowledge, which is so limiting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, back to influence. I don't think I asked that.
Oh gosh, we've digressed a lot.
I kind of was responsible for that. But I wanted to ask you guys, how big of an influence do they have on you? Do they have an influence on you at all?
I think they do.
Probably do in some way.
For sure. Like I said, if I don't know, if I see someone dressed some way on Instagram, I'm going to think, wow, they look good. I want to be like that. Then I'll see what I have in my wardrobe and be like, I really can't. I really can't do that. But, I feel like definitely whatever you see, like you said earlier on in the show, whoever we talk to, whoever we come across, we influence them in any way, like even if it's a small way. We do influence and we have an influence. So I think it's impossible not to be influenced.
We've used that word a lot.
Yeah. I just used it so many times. It's impossible not to be impacted by what they do, but I guess having control of yourself and having a limit to how much you are is important.
I think for me, it's not necessarily like lifestyle. Well, I don't know. Does food count as lifestyle based?
I follow so many
That's
food,
my only lifestyle.
food blogs. So for me, So for me, basically, just lifestyle changes and things like that. But I don't attempt to follow clothing because I really could never pull it off.
No, I know, it makes me sad. No, I'm joking.
So I guess the general consensus here is to, be careful of what you're following and, see what they're saying and see if they're qualified for it. If they're not, just...
And get information from a large variety of outlets.
And be careful of what you're listening to, what you're watching, and make sure you have your own opinions. And we'll be back next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. We stream our daily broadcast on inspirefm.org. You'll find all our daily updates on our social media at Inspire FM Luton.